Hello, everyone. Ian or Kelly from IJR Sports. And I'm going to recap the UFC on Fox 21. I'm gonna review UFC on Fox 21. I'll be honest, I'm not that big of a UFC guy, so I will say this: if I mess up wrestlers' names, I mess up some certain things. Please don't get upset with me because, like I said, I'm a casual viewer. I'm not like a diehard UFC fan, but I'm a casual viewer, and today I got to see UFC on Fox 21. I liked it. I liked it as a casual guy. I liked UFC on Fox 21, and I decided to recap it for that reason. So let's get right into it. But I'm going to be honest, I probably should have had somebody who's more experienced with UFC help me with this. Maybe I should have talked to Dwayne Wolf for MMA Breakdown. Those guys I know are very informational about UFC. But enough rambling. Let's get into it. The first match was Jeremy Kennedy versus Alessandro Recchi. Jeremy Kennedy, he won by decision. There was no knockdowns between both of them. Kennedy had 43 strikes, and Recchi had 83 strikes. And Kennedy had 5 takedowns. Recchi had 0, and there was no submission attempts. So yeah, Jeremy Kennedy, he won that match. It was 3 rounds between both of them. So yeah, it was a 3-round fight. And Jerry Kennedy won that first match. These were the early prelims. All right, the next match was Chad Laprise versus Tabolt Gutai. Gutai? Yeah, like I said, I'm horrible at pronunciation. So like I said, I'm horrible at pronunciation, so I'm sorry about that. But Laprise, he won by KO. Yeah, he won by KO. He had 2 knockdowns. He had 2 knockdowns, 22 total strikes, and 0 takedowns or 0 submission attempts between both of them. So yeah, he won by KO. It was only like a 3-minute fight. Only lasted 1 round because he got the KO pretty early. And that was the early prelim fight between Laprise and Gutai. Yeah. And then we got into the main show. We had Felipe Silva versus Shane Campbell. And this was by KO. All right, this was KO. This was by KO. It lasted 1 round. And all Silva needed was that 1 knockdown. He had 13 total strikes, as Campbell only had 10 strikes. So Silva by KO, and that was only a 1-round fight due to the KO. Now let's get into the next fight. Alicio Di Sirico versus Gareth McClellan. McClellan, yeah. And so I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, I'm horrible at pronunciation, so I'm sorry about that. But Alicio Di Sirico, he won by decision. He had 1 knockdown, 114 total strikes, and 2 takedowns. Where McClellan, he had 88 strikes and 2 takedowns. And it lasted all 3 rounds. So let's get to the next fight. And this one, I know a lot of people on Twitter had a problem with. And I know some guys I talked to on Twitter said that Barboza, he should have won the fight. Now, it was Kyle Bochnik versus Enrique Barboza. This lasted all 3 rounds. And Bochnik, he won by decision. There was no knockdowns between Barboza and Bochnik. Bochnik, he had 41 strikes and 1 takedown. Barboza had 56 strikes and 1 takedown. Honestly, I would have went with Barboza, but clearly they went with Bochnik. So, yeah, he won that match. Now let's get into the next one. Sam Alvey versus Kevin Casey. This was the next matchup. It lasted 2 rounds, and Alvey won by KO. Alvey, he had 2 knockdowns, 70 strikes, and 0 takedowns, and 0 submission attempts. Casey, he had 31 strikes, 0 takedowns, 0 submissions, and 0 knockdowns. So Alvey, in 2 rounds, winner by KO. The next match was Jim Miller versus Joe Lazzone. Lazzone, yeah. And Miller won by decision. It went all 3 rounds. There was 0 knockdowns between those two. Miller had 97 strikes, 0 takedowns, and 0 submission attempts. Lazzone, he had 92 total strikes, 3 takedowns, and 1 submission attempt. So Miller beat Lazzone. Next was Paige Van Zant versus Bec Rawlings. Van Zant, she won by KO. It lasted 2 rounds, and she had 1 knockdown, 27 total strikes, and 0 takedowns or submission attempts. While Rawlings, she had no knockdowns, no takedowns, no submission attempts, and 30 total strikes. So Paige Van Zant beats Rawlings by KO. Next was Anthony Pettis versus Charles against Charles Oliveira. And Anthony Pettis won by submission. So Pettis, he won by submission. He had 0 knockdowns, 77 total strikes, 0 takedowns, and 1 submission attempt. Now, Oliveira, he had 60 total strikes, 4 takedowns, and 0 submission attempts. And like I said, if I'm getting these wrong when it comes to pronunciation, I apologize. I'm not really good with the whole pronunciation. Now let's get to the main event. Or, let's get into, the main match, which was Damian Maia versus Carlos Condit. And Maia, he won by submission. He had 5 total strikes, 1 takedown, and 1 submission attempt. And Condit had 1 total strike. As you can tell, this was only a 1-round fight, and Maia beat Condit very easy. So that was the main match. Maia beat Condit by submission. So that was my recap of UFC on Fox 21. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more content. And I will see you next time.